In this note set, we'll talk about what adjectives are and how they work into French sentences. This is called Adjective Agreement, which is the title of the 1B.2 note set. The definition of an adjective is that it's a word that describes people, places, things, and also ideas, as we've talked about in class. In French, adjectives are used with the verb we just took a test on, être. The samples here say the class is difficult, difficult being the adjective, and I am optimistic, optimistic being the adjective. This slide shows the huge list of adjectives that were given in the note set. These adjectives are mostly cognates, which mean that they look very similar in both English and in French. The spellings are similar and the meanings are similar. There are three different kinds of adjectives shown on this chart. The first of which is the most common, which has an E at the end to make the word feminine. The second type is one that is the same for both masculine and feminine. And there also exist adjectives that change drastically from masculine to feminine, which are later in this note set. We use the word agreement to show what an adjective does with a noun. In French, adjectives agree with the nouns they describe. You learned early on this year that all nouns are either masculine or feminine. When adjectives are added to those nouns, they needed to be also made masculine or feminine, and now we're working with the idea of singular or plural. As you saw on the previous slide, most adjectives make the feminine form by adding a silent E to the end of the masculine form. Like you also saw on the previous slide, if there's already an E in the masculine form, you do not add another one to make the feminine. Most adjectives are made plural by adding a silent S. You can add to the end of the masculine form or the feminine form. These samples show what the adjectives will look like in masculine singular sentences, feminine singular sentences, masculine plural sentences, and feminine plural sentences. You can see that if the subject is masculine and singular, the adjective will also be masculine and singular. A feminine subject will have a feminine adjective. A masculine plural subject will have a masculine plural ending on the adjective. And a feminine plural subject will have a feminine plural ending on the adjective. If the subject is a mixed group, then you default to the masculine, just like we've talked about in the past. In this note set, a little bit later, you'll find a list of nationalities which are adjectives. Some of them end in the letter S. For example, Senegalais, and if you were in French 6 last year, you also learned the word anglais, meaning English. If this masculine singular form already ends in an S, the masculine plural form will be the same. Pierre, singular and masculine. Senegalais, singular and masculine. Second example shows now it's two boys, masculine and plural, and the adjective looks exactly the same as it did in the singular form. Placement of adjectives is a little bit different in French than from English. If the adjective follows a form of être, they are usually placed after the noun they describe in French. The first sample shows that these are brilliant students. You still say it the same order in English, but brilliant goes after student in the French sentence. Bernard is a pleasant and polite man, still reads the same in English, but the word man is first, followed by the words agréable et poli. You can use this and in order to make it two adjectives instead of one. This slide shows all of the adjectives of nationality that are presented in this chapter. There is a special spelling on anything that ends in IEN in the masculine form. You'll also see this with Italien down here. And it's that the feminine form is not just add an E, it's add an extra N as well as the E. If you only see an E after the masculine form, you just add the one E to make it feminine, and single ones here like Suisse only have one form and cover masculine and feminine. As you can see in these sample sentences, when you use a nationality in a French sentence, you do not capitalize it. He is American, the A is not capitalized and F is not capitalized in French. If you want to use the nationalities as a question to find out about someone's background, this slide shows what you should do. In the answers, only the feminine singular form are used because the words nationalité and origine are feminine. So, what is your nationalité? I am of Canadian nationality. The je could be a male or a female, but because of the placement of canadienne with the word nationalité, which is feminine again, they have to have the feminine singular form. Origine is the same story. What origin are you? What heritage are you? I am of Italian heritage. It's the heritage that's Italian. And the je could be either a male or a female. This slide shows a sample activity, something you could practice, and if you wanted to bring the answers in to me for correction, I could be happy to do that for you. This is the end of the note set.